What's up, guys? It's Johnny, and today I'm going to be showing you guys some of my own secrets out of my own training arsenal that I use to sculpt and bust through plateaus and continually develop my body. But before I get into that workout, I want to give a shout out to our friends at Audible.com for supporting our channel and also hooking us up with the top inspirational mindset books available today. So I actually read one of those mindset books, and I read it in a day. And what I read is a book called Feeling is the Secret by Neville Goodart. So this book talks a lot about laws of attraction, and that in your mindset, you always should be thinking about your end goal and keeping those positive thoughts in your mind. And when you do that, you also want to entail some positive self-talk. So my advice to you, and kind of what I took away from this book, was instead of dreading working out, exercising, cardio, think about it in a positive light, and think about, like I said, think about all the positives that are going to come at the end result. So let me give you an example. When I first started getting into competing, to be honest, I had been in health and fitness and bodybuilding for a long time, but actually taking all that knowledge and applying it and dieting down and learning how to pose and learning all the ins and outs of competing was something I wasn't necessarily dreading, but I was a little nervous about. So what I did in my training, for probably starting almost a year, I decided to do a show about a year before I actually did one. So when I started training and I stopped partying and I stopped being young and I started acting like an adult, and I started to visualize the end. I started to visualize myself standing on stage, and I visualized myself being presented a trophy. And then all of a sudden, within 6 months, I got my first place in an overall. So that's just an example I wanted to extend to you guys. You all are in different situations, but apply that self-talk, apply that positive self-imagery with the end goal. Now, to check out your copy of Neville Goodart's book, head over to audible.com/sixpack, and you can claim your free 30-day trial. You get to use their app. I use it all the time when I'm doing my cardio, especially when I'm doing a lot of cardio. If I'm preparing for a show, sometimes I'm doing like an hour a day. So make that hour fly by. Empower yourself. Increase your knowledge. Laws of attraction, positive self-talk. Everything will fall into place provided you do that. So now that I've talked a little bit about that, got that out of the way, I'm feeling pretty pumped up. I'm feeling pretty motivated. Let's get into the workout. So I mentioned at the beginning, I've got a couple secret weapons in my arsenal that I do to really help bust through plateaus, to continue to accelerate growth. Sometimes you'll be working out for 6 months, but man, my arms stop growing, or man, I can't increase the weight on my curls, things like that. So today, I'm gonna run you guys through a quick arm workout that I personally do. It should only take us about 20 minutes or so. You do want to do this one at the gym. You don't have to. If you have some minor equipment at home, you can do it at home. But what we're going to do is we're going to do one of my favorite supersets to start and warm up on the cables. And then we're going to hop over and apply two of my secret weapon training principles, and that's overload training and resistance band training. Let's get started. We're going to first warm up. We never want to jump into resistance band training or overload training without getting a nice base, without getting some blood in your muscles, getting your muscles warmed up and everything. So I'm gonna start off with a basic superset that I like to do with arms. You wanna keep your rest periods to a minimum. These are antagonistic muscles, so that means when one muscle is working and flexing and contracting, the other muscle is relaxing. So that's how you can superset bis and tris together. So I'm gonna do first rope hammer curls, superset with rope tricep pushdown. You'll notice I'm very strict on my form. That's how you're gonna fully develop the muscle to its fullest potential. Just going through the motions or lifting weight that's far too heavy, you're only shortchanging yourself. So with the hammer curls, you wanna approach it, keep your thumbs up obviously, shoulders pinned back. We don't wanna be forward, never curling forward like this, and you're also not leaning back when you're curling. So keep your shoulders pinned back, and you wanna stay in the range of the motion of your biceps. So get a nice stretch, and we're just gonna do 3 supersets of 10 reps each. No rest breaks. So there's 10 on the hammer curls. So what we're actually targeting on this, and why we're turning our hands like this instead of doing a regular curl, we're targeting our bicep brachii, our brachialis, and brachioradialis, which is right here. So all this little muscle group right here is what we're targeting with the hammer curls. So after you finish your first set of 10, go right into the tricep pushdowns. Again, I'm starting with a lightweight for the first set. I've got my shoulders pinned back. We're not over here. We're not leaning forward, okay? Keep a nice strict form, range of motion, and at the bottom, kick your pinkies out. Slight bend in the knees. Just keep your torso upright. As soon as you start to lean over, your traps and your lats and your back start to take over. Last rep. All right, like I said, no rest breaks since these are antagonistic muscles. While I was doing the tricep pushdowns, my biceps were resting. I'm good to go straight into the next bicep. We're gonna slightly increase our weight a little bit. Make sure we're still watching our form, shoulders pinned back, and stay in the range of motion of your biceps. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's go right into the next set of tricep pushdowns. And stay at the slightly increased weight. Again, no leaning forward. Elbows pinned back. Kick your pinkies out. 1. That's how you're going to be able to, this short head of the tricep here, that's how you can really extend, really emphasize the tension on there. So by really kicking your pinkies out, that's how you're going to achieve that. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, that's it, 10. All right, we got one more set of the warm-up superset. I'm going hammer curls again, slightly increase the weight. And again, watch your form. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2 more, 9, last one, woo. Squeeze, slowly lower it down. All right, moving into our last set of the rope pushdowns before we get into my secret weapons. Shoulders pinned back, chest upright. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Woo! All right, feeling good and warm. Got a little bit of blood flow going. So now we're ready to go into my secret weapons. So the first secret weapon of my training arsenal, some of you guys may have heard of this, but maybe not. It's called overload training. So with overload training, the basic principle is what you're trying to do is overload the muscle with weight that you can't necessarily handle, but on the negative portion, on the lengthening of the muscle instead of the contraction, on the lengthening. So what will happen there is a lot of those muscle fibers, stabilizers, type 2A, type 2B muscle fibers that don't typically get fired are going to be put under a tremendous amount of stress. So the idea is you can only apply overload training to certain exercises, because if you do it on the wrong exercises, you could potentially hurt yourself and you really won't see much of a benefit. But for certain things like lat pull downs, curls, some tricep movements, even some chest presses, and even on squats, overload training can really help. Now, when you're doing overload training on exercises like chest or like legs, you definitely want to have a spotter. But since I'm here just doing arms, I'm okay by myself. So let me talk a bit about the basic principles. So regular curls, I'm a stickler for good form, especially if you want to develop your biceps to its fullest potential. So usually shoulders pinned back, slow and controlled, squeeze and contraction, okay? Now with overload training, we're really concentrating on the negative. So we want to pick a weight that's a little bit heavy that we can't necessarily curl up on our own. So what you do is you actually go out of form for a second, you get the weight up, swing it up, and slowly lower it down. That's the overload. That's where you're gonna start firing those muscle fibers. Your muscles are gonna get stretched like they've never been stretched before because you have the heavier weight. When you do this, this can help you get through that plateau. Let's say you're stuck on curling, one plate on each side on the bar. Do this for a couple weeks. You only want to do it about once a week and only on about one set or one group of exercises out of your entire workout for that day. So, for example, we're gonna do 3 overload sets of the barbell curls. I have 100, if this bar is 45, I have 135 pounds on the bar. Not something I typically do for sets and reps when I'm doing curls. So, watch my form. What I do is I still practice good form, but I have to swing it to get it up since I'm not typically, and I'm also trying to get through 6 or 8 reps. So we're gonna do 3 sets, 6 to 8 reps. We wanna keep it on the lower side of the spectrum because we're trying to increase our strength, our size, our power, and achieve hypertrophy. All right, so that's 1 set of 6 reps. Woo! As you can see, that's super intense. If you're just a beginner, probably I wouldn't encourage you to try overload training. For you guys that have been working out a little while, find yourself leveling off, maybe hitting a plateau, you want to increase your size, this is something that you can try. Catch a breather, get a little water. We've got 2 more sets. So, what you notice, what was bad about my form, obviously was using momentum to get it up. But I told you guys ahead of time, it's the object of this one, overload training. But my form was pretty freaking good on resisting it on the way down. My biceps were doing all the work, so I felt all the strain, all the tension. You heard my exhale, blow your lungs up, use your lung capacity and lung power to your advantage. Next set. Again, you want to target 6 to 8 reps. Keep your elbows tight in your sides. When it starts to get real hard, then just get it up. One more. Woo. All right, one more set of that, get a breather, and then we're gonna move to my resistance bands secret weapon. Woo! In case y'all didn't know at home, on Friday, National Arm Day. Monday, International Chest Day. Friday, International Arm Day. I don't care what day of the week it is. If it's Friday, it's Arm Day. Woo! I've got a lot of blood in my arms right now. Feeling a pretty good pump. Heart rate's elevated. Feeling pretty good. We got one more overload set, then we're gonna move to the triceps. Doesn't matter how ugly it is. Just resist it on the negative. All right. Good job, guys. Some water, take a breather. We're gonna move into our next exercise. Woo! So, the arm day test. Can you touch your shoulder? That's how you know you're doing it right. Okay, so with the resistance bands, what we're gonna do here, something I like to throw into my tricep arsenal, is with the resistance bands wrapped around the bar to do skull crushers. So what you're doing here is, on a typical skull crusher, you lower yourself down, and as you raise up, your peak tension doesn't really happen until you're just about the top of the rep. And you're squeezing and contracting. What this does is, placing the resistance bands on the bar means your peak tension is actually gonna start about down here at this point. So you'll have peak tension all the way from here, all the way up through the motion. That's the difference. So grab a bar with a weight that you know you can handle on skull crushers, cut some of that weight off. So typically I can probably do up to 2 of these guys, the 25s on each side. So I cut it down to 1. And then we're gonna shoot for, again, that 6 to 8 rep range. If you get to 8 reps, you feel good, you can go ahead and go to about 10. Keep your shoulders pinned back. One more. 8. Slowly lower it down. That's the first set. Grab some water, take a breather. Got 2 more sets. Woo! Some blood flow. So having that peak tension throughout the range, the full range of motion, is really just gonna fire those type 2A, type 2B muscle fibers, the stabilizers that might not typically spring into action if you're just going through the range, going through the sets, going through the motions, and you're gonna pump a lot of blood in there. Grab some water. If you're wondering at home, how long should I be resting? Depends on your goals, what you're trying to do. If you're training for endurance, very short rest periods, okay? If you're training for maximal growth, hypertrophy, trying to get bigger, you want 60 to 90 seconds. You gotta give your body a little bit of time to recover some of its ATP. You can have all of that recovered in about 90 seconds. If you're training for power and strength, you want longer rest periods. You want about 3 to 5 minutes sometimes. If you're on your really heavy sets, low reps, more sets, that's the difference. Six, 2 more. 7, 1 more. 8, woo! Getting heavy. All right, we got one more set and then that's it. Like I said, it's a kind of quick but intense workout for your arms. So you can finish in about 20, 25 minutes, especially if you superset them together. And then that's it. Oh, one other tip you can do is if you're feeling overloaded with this and feel you get to the third or fourth set, you can do set, get as many reps as you can until failure, then drop the bands. It's kind of like a drop set. So you won't have that peak tension the whole time, but by that point you'll have so much blood already pumped in the tricep, you won't know the difference. Last set. Four, 5, 6. All right, I failed at 6, so I'm gonna take the bands off, like I just said, and do a couple more to finish out the set. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. Try out my overload training, resistance band overload training principles to help get you through that plateau, to spark a little bit more growth that you've been looking for. Also, don't forget, go check out our friends at audible.com. You can head over to audible.com/sixpack and claim your free 30-day trial for more workouts, nutrition, tips, anything fitness related. Check us out at SixPackShortcuts.com. Look for us on YouTube at Six Pack Shortcuts. My name is Johnny. I hope you guys have an awesome day.